Good morning. Start your day informed and ahead. Today is Monday, the 3rd of August. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Cheska Letoncala. We are bringing you the perfect mix of the headlines you need and the conversations that shape your day.
From the news desk to the digital space, we have got you covered. I'm Pauline Verzosa, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Now, first in the news, the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte resumes today, with the prosecution set to present a former Commission on Audit official. Roderick Wamil is expected to testify on the alleged misuse of 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds by the OVP and DepEd. Two other subpoenaed witnesses are scheduled to take the stand on Tuesday and Wednesday. And last week, two former land bank managers described the large cash withdrawals by the OVP and DepEd as unusual. All right, so this is the 5th week of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, and the prosecution is expected to flesh out details on how the confidential funds were used. If last hearings focus on where did the 612 million pesos in confidential funds come from and how was it withdrawn. So this week, ang sinasabi nila, we will know hopefully kung saan ba ginastos itong confidential funds na ito. Is it properly liquidated, diba, properly spent? I was able to talk to Congressman Chua earlier today, and he said that it's also crucial for the, of course, without divulging too much of the case, the merits of the case, sabi niya, it is also crucial kung papaano na gasta ng Office of the Vice President and the DepEd yung renta ng mga safe houses supposedly under the Department of Education.
And then another thing that the prosecution is also seeking to prove or establish is whether or not the OVP violated yung auditing rules.
Yes.
Or if they also fail to satisfy yung accountability requirements when it comes to confidential funds. Then they, over the weekend, then sinabi din nila, I think they took Senator Ping Lacson's advice because they have lined up reserve witnesses who are experts in confidential fund, and intelligence fund operations para daw ma-explain sa senator judges kung ano yung standard government procedures and to be able to determine whether or not the the VP spending departed from the rules na kailangan sundin.
But idagdag ko lang, Paulina, itong si Roderick Wamil na to, aside from being the former state auditor of COA, he is also part of Intelligence and Confidential Funds Office, so COA ICFAO. So I guess he's also competent witness to tell us more about how the confidential funds were used.
And it's going to be interesting, especially this week, kasi nga, officials from COA na nga will be testifying, and as we know, the COA had issued notices of disallowance to the Office of the Vice President, right? So we're gonna see, kasi last week sinabi na ng mga bank officials that the transactions were unusual. We're also gonna see now if these disallowances will amount already to irregularities. But of course, innocent naman until proven guilty ang akusado dito. But what we will also be watching out for is the cross-examination of the defense. Remember last week, they didn't really fully cross-examine the witnesses kasi sabi ni Attorney Michael Poa, for them there was nothing to dispute already. The checks exist, the withdrawals are legitimate, authentic. But now, they said they want to ask clarificatory questions to the COA officials. And titignan na rin po natin if they will be able to defend how they use this money, where did it go. But again, there are confidentiality rules diba? So hindi rin natin alam hanggang saan nilang yung pwede nilang sabihin.
Exactly. And kanina maidagdag ko lang din regarding kay sa interview kay Congressman Chua, sinabi ko nga rin sa kanya, tinanong ko sa kanya, ano yung sagot nila talaga dun sa sinasabi ng depensa na it's normal to have aliases, code names for intelligence work. Na-prove ba nila nung House Justice Committee pa lang na talagang wala yung COA DBM circular memorandum na kailangan nasa envelope yung mga aliases and the real names. So sabi niya gano'n, kasi kung umpisa pa lang nasabi na nila at na-establish na nila na meron nun, di sana wala tayo ngayon dito, sabi niya. Or wala itong article of impeachment na to dito sa pinag-uusapan natin. So wala silang ma-establish na gano'n. And we all know naman how important that envelope, we'll see what's going to happen later.
Well, who knows? Malay mo, may ipakita yung
Bigla
defense,
pala,
diba?
no?
Because I know they're
Mary
supposed to have,
Grace
aside from the
Piatos.
envelope, like a notebook or a ledger, where you put the corresponding identity of the alias nga. Malay nyo nga, diba? May
Kailan kasi
makikita sila.
importante na ibigay mo siya sa COA for proper
Yes.
auditing.
Pero hindi nila ginawa
Hindi
yan.
yun ang wala.
But
Kaya
the
may
thing is-
notice of disallowance.
But the thing is, we have to wait for the prosecution to finish
Ay, oo nga.
everything before we
If they
possibly see if the defense has that notebook or ledger.
Pero sabi ni Congressman Chua, we can expect shorter presentation ulit dito kung mapuprove na nila kaagad. Parang nangyari noong nakaraan.
Okay.
So kahit yung 30 days yung allotted nila, maaaring ma-shorten yun
Okay.
para maka-move forward. Kasi we want nga na sana huwag magkaroon ng impeachment fatigue yung public.
Yes, oo. And hinighlight naman din, in-emphasize ni Attorney Domingo Cayosa last week to us, right, that here, the prosecution doesn't really have to prove that the Vice President enriched herself through these confidential funds. If the prosecution can prove that there were indeed irregularities, even with the compliance requirements, right, in liquidating confidential funds, and that can already constitute an impeachable
Yun.
offense. Okay, but in other news, Ombudsman Boying Remulla said his office had anticipated the Sandigan Bayan's decision to grant bail to former Senator Bong Revilla. In an interview, Remulla said he wants to meet with the Supreme Court to discuss anti-corruption efforts. He added that closer cooperation among government branches is needed to strengthen the country's fight against corruption. In a separate matter, Remulla said Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste and Senator Loren Legarda could face plunder and graft charges over the alleged failure to deliver renewable energy projects worth around 10 billion pesos. And he described the undelivered power as ghost electricity and alleged that Legarda used her position to help her son secure a franchise for solar energy projects.
Di ba meron tayong mga ghost projects na binitira? Dito, ghost electricity. Pangako nila magpo-produce sila ng kuryente. Pangako nila sa Philippine Energy Plan, nakalimbad itong dapat production na gagawin ng solar. Pero hindi nila ginawa. Kung meron silang ginawa, kakaunti, kakarampot. Hindi kagaya ng pinangako nila na gagawin nila.
Right, so let's start first with the case of former Senator Bong Revilla. No? Malversation is a non-bailable case, meaning hindi automatic yung pag-bail niya. But he was still able to file a petition. And as we know, the Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division has already granted his petition for bail worth 1 million pesos because 2 out of 3 judges found na the prosecution did provide sufficient evidence to link him to this ghost project nga in Pandi, Bulacan. But what surprised me more is what Ombudsman Remulla said, na they weren't surprised. They anticipated na mukhang tinatrabaho na magkaroon ng grant of way, but for him it's an eye-opener that they have to fight harder against corruption. It's surprising kasi sinabi ng Ombudsman, di ba, na they've been building airtight cases para nga hindi ito ma-dismiss, hindi ma-bail, and yet yun pa rin yung nangyari. The court wasn't able to find sufficient evidence, and it's quite disheartening na bakit ganun pa rin yung nangyayari, di ba? I mean, we're talking about holding the big fish accountable when it comes to this flood control scandal, but sa huli parang nakakahanap pa rin sila ng ways on how to skirt our justice system. So it's good that Ombudsman Remulla wants to have this dialogue because he's saying na before he already questioned corruption in the judiciary.
Yeah.
So we have to keep an eye on this.
Another thing I think that the Ombudsman pointed out that's also very important to remember is that former Senator Bong Revilla was directed to pay 124.5 million in civil damages to the National Treasury, which has yet to be done.
And then, for context as well, kasi for the public, baka ang naiisip nila or most of the people naiisip nila sa social media pag nababasa natin, akala nila Senator Revilla is out of the woods already. No po, no? Ang nangyari lang po dito, bail lang po siya, kumbaga, ay temporary liberty po, Siya po ay kailangan pa rin umattend ng mga hearings regarding this case. It's just that his custody is not with BJMP Payatas. No? Kumbaga, temporary lang po talaga, as we said earlier. And yun nga, isang justice lang in that case, the sole, kumbaga, dissenter, sinasabi nila na hindi pumapayag na sinasabing mahina yung kaso on connecting former Senator Revilla. And we have to remember, Revilla was dubbed by the Office of the Ombudsman as a proponent or a politician whose job is to ensure that a specific DPWH project will be funded by the national government. Kasi being the chair committee at that time in the Senate. So parang yun yung sinasabi niya. So ano yung nakikita ng ibang judges or justice na hindi strong yung evidence. But yun nga, ang tinignan lang naman nilang ebidensya nito ay for the bail petition. So it doesn't mean siya po ay not guilty dito sa kanyang kaso na ito, because there will be a lot of hearings, etc. regarding this para mas mabuksan natin yung case at maintindihan natin yung participation niya.
Pero dun sa ibang mga akusado, hindi rin nag-grant yung kanila. It was only former Senator Bong Revilla who was granted a petition for bail. Now, on the case of the preliminary investigation of the Ombudsman on Senator Lauren Legarda and her son, Congressman Leandro Leviste, PI stage pa lang yan, which means it's one step closer to being filed as a case in the Sandigan Bayan. Senator Lauren Legarda already denied the allegations, but of course, at least there's a proper forum for them to do this, and we'll see kung aabot nga talaga yan sa korte.
They also mentioned na that Solar Philippines Power Project Holdings Inc. Was founded by Leandro Leviste at 20 years old back in 2013, and he was already awarded, I think, over 30
billions.
More than 30 service contracts with the government.
And that time, if I'm not mistaken, Senator Legarda was also the chairperson of the Finance Committee, which now they're saying that it gave her room to lobby for her son.
Influence. I think, if I'm not mistaken, nakita ko rin parang merong, we have yet to fact-check that, na merong statement si former Congressman Lito Atienza regarding that.
Yes.
He was influenced nga daw, parang sinabihan ni Senator Legarda na bigyan mo ng franchise itong anak ko, then you will have this much amount to spend. May ganong accusation. So we have to check on that as well. Because it is also very important to shed light on this issue, because nakikita natin kung ano ba yung dapat na transparency on energy renewable industry, di ba? Lalo na ngayon, ang problema natin, kuryente. Di ba?
It's a very large contract, di ba? Billions yan, and yet wala namang
tapos walang
ipakita.
resulta.
It's ghost electricity, as Ombudsman Remulla said. And the thing here kasi is conflict of interest, di ba? If you're a senator, you're the mom, and then you lobbied for your son who got a very large contract, government contract. Sabi nga ni Ombudsman Remulla, plunder is not limited naman to just using public funds. As we've seen in the case of Senator Marcoleta, Senator Mike Defensor, right, in his campaign funds. That's why he was charged with plunder, is because he enriched himself, he amassed wealth na hindi naaayon as a public official.
And you have to take note, may former energy secretary pa na involved.
Yes.
Diba, si
Secretary
Cusi.
All right, moving on to sports. The DC Open women's final between Alex Ayala and top seed Jessica Pegula remains suspended due to heavy rain. Pegula took the opening set 6-4 after recovering from a 3-4 deficit. The American won 3 straight games to close out the first set. Ayala, however, made a strong start in the second and was leading 2-1 when play was halted. The match had already been delayed by 3 hours before another downpour forced organizers to suspend the action. Players and fans are now awaiting word on when the championship match will resume. While we're waiting for this match to continue, we need to talk about Alex defeating former world number 1 Naomi Osaka. Sunday morning, early morning Philippine time. That was amazing because Alex won 6-4, 6-2. Osaka is known for the power in her serves. Alex was able to return a serve from Osaka that was pretty much 200 kilometers per hour.
God.
I would have just ducked.
Yeah.
So,
very strong.
kitang-kita yung pinagtrabahuan ni Alex when it comes to her returns. So now, as mentioned nga, the match was delayed
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 12 midnight here in the Philippines, moved to 3 a.m. and then moved to 6 a.m. And I think till now they're cleaning the courts
Okay.
pa. So we'll see if it will still push through within the day or if they will reschedule. But
Tomorrow.
all else, go Alex.
If I'm not mistaken, Pegula is no easy feat, diba?
No.
Because she was already beat Alex before.
Yes, sa Miami Open last year.
Pero pagka natalo siya ni Alex, talagang wow.
Statement talaga yan.
Statement.
Mawawala na tayong lahat.
Even Jessica Pegula was impressed by the turnout of the crowd. And, di ba, nakita natin sa
Dami niyang
video
fans
earlier, the court was very, very full. And for someone, she said, for someone who isn't even in the top
Yes.
5 yet of
Yes.
the top tennis players in the world, it's really impressive that Alex is drawing this much fans. So, that's also a testament,
Oo.
no? Na sikat na talaga yung Alex natin.
Talagang it's just amazing how we are able to witness her journey.
Yes.
From being in the lowest rank, tapos binabalita natin na, uy, 100 plus na siya. Tapos biglang, uy,
nasa top
70
50
plus
na
na
siya.
siya. Uy, yung ganito na siya. No? Talagang it makes us proud as
Before you know it,
Filipinos.
she's a WTA champion.
Hindi ako duda dyan. Alex, baka naman, mabisita mo kami here.
Ay,
I know. Don't go away. Morning Matters will be back after a short break.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Now, as reported earlier, the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte enters its 11th day. And for the latest from the Senate, let's bring in our mobile journalist, Marymon Reyes. Marymon, ano ba pwede natin asahan from today's proceedings?
Pauline, for day 11 of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, the House prosecution will continue presenting its case in chief for the article of impeachment 1. Ito yung alleged misuse of public funds, to be specific, yung confidential funds na last week, ang una nilang pinresent na land bank branch managers, ipinakita muna yung naging pagkuha ng pera, yung sa disbursement nito, nalagpas o almost 612.5 million pesos. Though naging mabilis lang yung direct examination nila, isang tanong lang yung binato ng defense na wala ng cross-examination. Ngayon, ipepresent naman nila ngayong linggo ay mga opisyal naman mula sa Commission on Audit or COA. Unang-una for this day, si Roderick Wamil, former state auditor ng COA, Intelligence and Confidential Funds Office. Aside from him, subpoenas were also issued by the court. Dito naman kay State Auditor Celine May del Campo, pero tomorrow siya. And then on Wednesday, ito naman si House of Representatives Legislative Information Resources Management Department Director Marivic Parehas. So ang schedule ngayon ng impeachment trial onwards, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Kasi 4 p.m. onwards, regular plenary session naman ng Senado. Puli.
Nabanggit mo nga, Marymon, last week, hindi nag-full cross-examination ang defense. Pero for this week, may balak na ba silang mag-cross-examine ng mga testigo?
Fully legal strategy kasi siya eh. Kung last week ang sinasabi ng prosecution, ang pinakapakay muna nila is yung pagpapakilala muna, yung nung case in chief nila. Kaya yun yung sinimula nila, yung bank branch managers. And while wala pang nakikitang ka-questionable itong defense, it will really depend kung ngayon, dito sa COA, may makikita sila. And wala namang pumipigil sa kanila kung mag-cross-examination sila. Wala rin pipigil sa prosecution kung magre-redirect sila or magkakaroon ulit ng re-cross-examination from the defense. Usually naman pagkatapos ng presentation at wala nang nagsasalita from the prosecution, especially from the defense, ito namang senator judges, may time naman din sila para magbato ng mga katanungan.
Ang prosecution naman, Marymon, kung sila tatanungin, ano ba yung na-establish na nila from last week's presentation on article on the misuse of confidential funds?
Yung mere idea lang at yung fact na may malaking pera na kinuha mula sa Office of the Vice President pati sa DepEd in such a short span of time
Marymon,
na
sorry, we're gonna have to cut you there for now. We will get back to you
612.5
for more updates on the Senate impeachment trial. Well, as we know, President Bongbong Marcos wants to remove system loss charges that power distributors pass on to consumers. Marcos made the proposal during his fifth State of the Nation address last July 27. The Senate Committee on Energy has since begun reviewing the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, or EPIRA, to determine what changes to the law are needed. Meanwhile, Meralco Chairman and CEO Manny V. Pangilinan said the power distributor is prepared to work with the government on the matter.
Joining us now is Alex Escucha, President of the Institute for Economic Development and Econometric Analysis, or IDEA, to discuss the possible removal of system loss charges and what it means for consumers. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so President Bongbong Marcos says consumers should no longer pay for the system loss charges, and it was well received by the public. From an economic standpoint, what are the potential benefits and risk of removing system loss charges?
Let me make two key points. One, it is a very populist move, very attractive to the public. However, there should be a clear study on whether it is even the announcement itself. And to be fair to the president, he did not say remove. He just demanded the review of the ITIRA law, which is the correct statement to make. Okay. So let me make a couple of points. Number one, it's clear that the point has been made that system loss has two components. One is the technical part, and this is the physics part of it, where from the generation initiation unit all the way to the consumer, there's some loss. And the ERC already has some limits to that, like 3.75%. Then there is the non-technical part, which is consists of losses from illegal connections, jumpers, and similar stuff. For the non-technical stuff, the limit set by the ERC for cooperatives is 4.5, which is a total of 8.25% of a cap. No. Second point, let me make a very major distinction. I reviewed my Meralco bill from October last year and versus July this year. The Meralco system loss is 5.69% actually, and the VAT on that is 10.08%. In short, the Meralco franchise is actually relatively efficient compared to global standards already. Okay. It is the electric cooperatives outside of the Meralco franchise, and there are 121 of them, where these losses are huge. To be fair, there are some electric cooperatives who are efficient enough to meet the 8.25% cap on system losses. But on the other hand, there are also struggling cooperatives whose losses range from 16% to 39%. These are big. Either they are struggling or they are really badly managed. So these are the ones that should be really reviewed. So if I may continue, in short, this from an economist point of view and also from a consumer point of view, while the statement of the president looks popular, and in fact it was one of the most applauded, the science here is relatively established. No? So, to my mind, anong dapat mangyari? Okay. I think it's a bad idea to simply say, remove all system loss charges, including the VAT per se. I don't agree with that. What should be done is two steps, or actually several steps. But the key steps is compare everywhere in the world what is the standard for the system loss that could be recovered And this is a system loss charge that is already known to utilities worldwide. No? The best cases in Germany, Belgium, and Sweden, you can say arbitrarily, if you say still stick with the 3.75% and maybe allow for maybe just 1% more, or wrap it up at 4 or 5%, and then anything above that should be absorbed by the utility. What does
All right,
it
sir.
mean? It means that there is an incentive for them to improve their efficiency.
Yes.
Because if they're allowed to pass on everything, edi sige-sige na lang, and they're not being penalized for being inefficient.
All right. Well, sir, there are several perspectives to this. We know the consumers obviously are very happy hearing hearing the call to review EPIRA, but in terms of the distributors, can they handle an industry where the consumers are not answerable to the system loss charges? What will happen to the distributors?
My short answer is yes. In other words, as long as the properly regulated, the well-regulated distribution utilities elsewhere in the world has these two steps. In other words, okay, we know that there is something that is unavoidable, which is the very technical physics, which is based on physics. But the losses beyond that, you should be able to manage in the same manner, because if you're able to manage that, any reduction in your insufficiency or loss goes directly to their bottom line. Now, why is Meralco differently situated from the badly managed cooperatives? I look at the data, and the cooperatives are non-corporations, okay? But they are supervised by the National Electricity Administration, and the losses that they incur tells me that from 2022 to 2026, they had a subsidy from NEA of 13.82%. Now, if
All
they
right, Sir
are continued
Alex.
to be mismanaged,
Oh,
or that's an
Sir
average
Alex,
of
we're so sorry.
2.76 billion per year.
We are out of time. Thank you. Sincere apologies. We're out of time, but hopefully we can have you another time to talk more about this. Thank you for your time and insights, Alex Escucha, President of the Institute for Economic Development and Econometric Analysis.
Thank you.
All right, but don't go away, because Money Talks with Kathy Yang is up next to get you ahead of the markets. I'm Pauline Berzosa. Stay tuned to One News.
Good morning, mga kapatid. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Day 11 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial shifts the focus to the Commission on Audit o COA. Former State Auditor Roderick Wamil is expected to testify on the handling of confidential funds. Prosecutors are building their case on the alleged misuse of 612.5 billion pesos by the OVP and DepEd. The defense, meanwhile, is expected to question the evidence and Duterte's financial records.
And to help us break down the legal issues surrounding Day 11 of the impeachment trial, we are now joined by litigation lawyer and law professor, Attorney Howard Calleja. Good morning, Attorney.
Good morning, ladies. Good
Welcome
morning.
to Morning Matters.
Good morning. Good morning. Very nice morning to see three lovely ladies.
Yes. Okay, so Attorney, it's Day 11 of the impeachment trial. Last week, we already saw the prosecution focus on the paper trail, as they say, the bank officials calling the transactions unusual. But this week, we now shift the focus to the COA
Yes.
auditors. What could their testimonies establish?
Well, number one, ang maganda dito, let me just, last week nga, reiterate natin that the money exists. Nakuha yon, no? So yun yung na-establish doon. Now, question is, tama ba yung paggasta? Tama ba yung pag-report? Kay nino ba binigay? So doon natin pupuntahan. Number one, to establish is confidential funds are not beyond audit of COA. Kailangan klaruhin natin yan, no? Na yan po sinasubmit pa, may resibo pa na kailangan i-audit yan. Hindi exempt yan for audit, hindi din exempt na ipakita sa taong bayan. Number one. Number two, paano ba rini-report ang confidential funds? Yan ang kailangan siguro sabihin nung auditor. At di ba ang sinasabi nila, in addition to that, the past few months, nakita ko na sinasabi nila na they have been cleared by COA. I think kailangan i-clear din ito ng auditor. What does that yung clearance mean? Kung meron man or whatever. O kung bang may question pa within this confidential funds between 2022 and 2023. So, klaruhin natin on that score, no? Plus, yun na nga, kasi ang confidential funds, hindi naman yan parang spend all on where, no? Mayroon din guidelines yan on how or where to spend. So, yun din yung kailangan nating tingnan. Kasi may sinasabi sila nung una na yung kahapon naman, last week is unusual. Dito ito ba may extravagance ba? Tama ba? Sobra ba? Di ba? I mean, tayo, katabi lang natin ang Shangri-La. Magkano ba dyan? 15,000 a night. Pero hindi naman, 500,000 a month or something. Parang bahay na sa Forbes Park yun kung magkukuha sila ng safe house na gano'n. Pero parang per week lang. Kung 500 per week, siguro, ilis ko na yung bahay ko. Kahit 100 per week, payag na ako.
Well, attorney, doon po sa sinasabi ninyong proseso ng COA-DBM Joint Circular na kinakailangan i-disclose ang isang ahensya na merong confidential funds, yung kanilang mga operations, yung intelligence operations sila. Ang sinasabi po ni Representative Chua, in the House Justice Committee pa lang, there was no envelope, no, na pinresenta sa COA, no, regarding that process. It is important ba para ma-prove ng prosecution na walang ganoon na listahan ang Office of the Vice President na listahan ng mga totoong pangalan ng mga
yun na nga, kasi
sources nila?
Sa pagkakaalam ko, I think that would be reaffirmed later kasi pwede naman yung, let's say, yung mga pangalan, yung mga pseudonym na yan, yung si Mary Grace Piatos, Owishi Tempura, Chippy,
Miggy Mango,
mga
Bokoy
ganyan, no?
Villamin.
So, pwede yan, pero meron yan na, sabi mo nga, may katapat na resibo yan. Sino ba yan?
Sino ba sila?
Kasi kailangan i-trace mo naman kung totoo din yan, no? So kung wala, ang tanong dyan is, tama ba yun? Sino ba yun? At di ba ang sinabi nila nung una, meron namang taong ganyan. Meron, I remember si Senator Bato, sinabi pa niya, may mga kilala siyang mga piatos na taga Davao.
Yes.
Tapos later on, sinabi, wala palang taong ganyan. So, iba na naman sila. Sabi na naman nila, pseudonym na naman. So, paiba-iba. Kaya importante yung sinasabing may envelope na, o meron silang listahan na sino ba yung katapat ng mga tao na yan. Kasi it's so easy to make or invent names. Plus, di ba, ang isa pang question dyan is, yung inimbento nilang pangalan o yung mga signature, pare-pareho.
Yes.
Kung titingnan mo. So, ano ba talaga ang katotohanan? That's why it would be nice to bring it out in the open. That's why it would be nice itong mga kababayan natin, pakinggan talaga itong impeachment na ano ba yung susunod na kabanata. Kasi meron na, kita na natin yung pera lumabas, unusually, na cash pa siyang lumabas, di ba? Hindi cheque. So, yung paggastos ba niyan, tama, kay Nino? At sabi ko nga, meron bang extravagance dyan? Meron bang sobra? Meron bang unexplained? So, yun ang mga kailangan pakinggan natin sa susunod na mga linggo.
With all the witnesses listed, and of course with the names that are being questioned, that there's no record of them in the PSA or even through the NBI findings, but even the defense has said they're ready to cross-examine Mary Grace Piatos just to prove that there's no corruption attached to the use of the names released since the House hearings in 2024. But what happens if there is no one who shows up?
Well, if there's kung walang lumabas, di ang presumption yan. Kasi titignan mo yan, Cheska, with the statement yung PSA. There's no such person. Tapos wala talagang lumabas. So it would bolster the evidence na it is a fictitious, hindi siya pseudonym, fictitious person. Eh kung fictitious person siya, di talagang, hindi lang yan may malversation, fraud talaga yan. Diba? So saan napunta yung pera na yan? And if that happens with one person, kasi isa lang naman si Mary Grace. Sabi mo nga, may Mickey Mouse, Chippy Tempura, Owishi, etc., etc., di ba?
Favorite mo, Mickey Mango.
Mickey Mango.
Mickey Mango.
Wala naman yung Mickey Mouse.
Oo, kasi alam ko, nung bata pa ako sa Disneyland, si Mickey Mouse eh. Pero whatever, kaya nga natatawa na tayo sa pangalan eh. Kasi iba-iba yung mga pangalan. So talagang pag hindi sila lumabas, makikita na there's hindi lang fishy. There's really something fictitious and malicious here na ginawa. There's fraud, kitang-kita.
Sundutin ko lang to. What if may lumabas? May mag-show up na ako si Mary Grace Piatos, pero I'm using this as a pseudonym. Diba? Paano niya, defense or prosecution, mapapatunayan na, okay, ako nga si Mary Grace Piatos and I'm just using this as my code.
Yeah, yun na nga ang importante dyan. Kaya nga, kung may lumabas na Mary Grace, mas maganda yon, mas gusto ko yon dahil I will have her in cross-examination eh. Ang question dyan eh, you don't know if that person is even true. You don't know if the address given is even true. So saan mo padadalhan ng subpina si Mary Grace Piatos? Kasi hindi mo alam kung nasaan siya eh. Di ba? Or magbigay sila ng address, hindi mo alam kung totoo. So yun ang tanong. But ako, I challenge na si Piatos, si Mickey Mango, whoever that is, di ba? Si Owishi Tempura, si Chippy, lumabas sila.
May Xiaomi pa.
May Xiaomi pa. Kasi nga, ako I've been litigating for, hindi ko sasabihin na ilang dekada na. Pero,
Anong grade nyo sa bar?
Basta ang alam ko, number 11 ako sa bar.
Wow!
Oo. Kasi lahat ng hindi, kasi pinapakita
lahat
sa dyaryo,
top 10
1 top 10
lang.
lang.
Oo nga, oo
So lahat
nga.
kami,
Yeah.
11 na.
Oo nga naman.
So going back to that is, kasi pag umupo ka dyan sa stand, no, sa witness stand, I'm sure the lawyers there, si Lorna Capuna, si Liguatan, si Chel Jokno, Laila De Lima, Luis Tro, they're very good. And they would ferret out the truth once umupo yan dyan. So kung ano yung kasinungalingan niya, lalabas yon. So kaya nga mas maganda lumabas kasi makikita kung ano yung kasinungalingan niya. Pero kung hindi lumabas, then there's already sa akin, solid presumption yun na talagang kumbaga yung presumption na hindi tunay na bolster yan. Na patunayan na hindi talaga totoo. At yung mga binagbigyan ng tao na yan, baka hindi naman talaga tao, baka nagpirma-pirma lang. So I think that bolster it. So on any side, medyo ipit yung defense on this part. Kung ilabas nila, siyempre, kahit kahit intelligent person ka, medyo nenervyusin ka once you're in the witness stand. Eh. Baka iba-iba yung sabihin mo. So tingnan na lang natin how the hearing goes in the next few weeks.
Pero attorney, ang burden of proof nasa prosecution, di ba? So what happens if hindi nila mapakita where the money actually went? Kasi sabi nga, di ba, last week na-establish na over 500 million pesos was withdrawn from land bank in cash, nilagay siya sa mga gym bags, but we don't know saan napunta. So what happens now kung hindi yan mapatuloy ng prosecution? Kasi meron pa rin bang presumption of regularity for the respondent, for the defense?
Well, ang presumption of regularity dyan is yung PSA, yung statistics. Na sinabing hindi tao si Mary Grace, hindi tao si Chippy, whatever it is, no? So there is that presumption there. Now, kung hindi nila mapakita yan, that shifts the burden now to the defense. Okay. Sino ba yung tao na yan? Although, siyempre, kailangan ilatag ng prosecution yung kanyang story, yung kanyang, let's say, presumption of innocence on the other side. Pero pag hindi nga, kasi meron silang ebidensya na sinasabi, hindi totoo ito eh. Yun nga, yung PSA, yung sabi nga natin, walang listahan kung sino ito, hindi mo alam kung ano yung address. So those are already presumptions. But enough basis. Then it would be bolstered by the affirmation by PSA that wala. So being a government agency, it has the presumption of regularity na tama yung kanyang dokumento that this person did not exist. Tapos tatawagin mo, walang sumipot na ganong tao or bibigyan mo ng address, sasabihin nung clerk ng trial court, impeachment court, nung binigay namin yung address, walang taong ganyan. So that even bolster na fictitious itong person na to. So that, as I said, no, kung hindi siya lumabas, it bolster na hindi totoo. Kung lumabas naman siya, titingnan natin.
So mas mabigat ang burden ngayon sa defense?
It would shift kasi kung sila nagsabi na may taong ganyan, kung di nila ma-produce yan at hindi naman totoo yan, di makikita na it is a fraudulent statement because that's the one of the theses of the prosecution na yung listahan mo fraudulent, na yung listahan mo is just a mere
Dummy,
gawa-gawa lang ito or dummy list or whatever, hindi totoo yan. So that is their thesis. Kung hindi nila mapakita ng depensa yan, yun ang problema nila.
Yeah, but is it possible for the defense to say kaya nga confidential?
Oo.
May
Yun
mga
yung lagi nilang sinasabi.
but also if they need to show that if they use the argument that kaya confidential funds because there are intelligence operations that need to remain confidential, how else can they prove that there were legitimate operational results?
Yeah. We have to distinguish first confidential and intelligence funds.
Okay,
So, iba ang gastos ng intelligence funds
And confidential.
funds. Usually, intelligence funds, nandiyan yan sa mga PNP, sa National Defense or military or something, yan. Yung confidential funds is usually on civilian purposes, no? Magkaiba rin ng, kaya importante pakinggan natin yung sinasabi ng witness later on or the next few days kasi sila magsasabi, ano ba ang limitasyon, ano ba ang yung sinasabing confidentiality, up to where is it confidential? At sabi nga, Angela, no, when you said na meron dapat another envelope yan kasi dapat nandoon papakita sino ba talaga yan kasi it's not naman confidential, you cannot divulge. Ibibigay mo lang yan and that would be opened up to a certain, let's say, guidelines, no? So kung wala silang mas mapakita na ganyan, kung walang resibo, kung sino yan, then again, yung kanilang sinasabi na ay kaya nga confidential, you cannot hide under that mantle, no? Kasi meron ngang kaya kailangan pakinggan natin yung COA. Ano ba ang rules diyan? Kung confidential, paano ba i-divulge diyan? Sino bang makakaalam? Ano ba ang dapat na requirements diyan? So doon natin pakikinggan yan. Kaya nga sana open yung mind natin, yung mga tao natin, na tignan, na pakinggan talaga na sana let's go where the evidence leads us.
Well, baka malinawan mo rin kami, you can shed light on this, attorney, because the bigger question here is that why does the Office of the Vice President have confidential funds anyway? And for that matter, DepEd, because the prosecution is also looking at how did they spend yung 612.5 million in just 11 days, mostly in renting safe houses.
Ayun na nga ang tanong dyan kasi nga, prior to her term, wala namang confidential funds ang DepEd at Vice President. If ever meron in the past, it's very minimal. No, hindi ganito kalaki. So, yun ang question dyan. Ano ba yung need, no? At I remember, one of their defenses before, ang sabi nila doon sa confidential funds sa DepEd, tinignan nila yung mga corruption within DepEd. Ang tanong ko naman, that's 112 million, I think, no, 37 times 4, sinong nahuli nila sa 112 million na yan na kanilang sinasabi nila, nag-investigate sila within DepEd. Yung laptop scam, nandyan pa rin. Yung mga issues ng DepEd, andyan pa rin, hindi pa rin solved. No? So, yun ang tanong dyan. Plus, yung Vice President na 500, kasi that's 125 times 4. Yung pang-isa, yung tranches niya, eksakto. 125, 125. Pero kung titignan mo, parang kasi ang confidential funds, technically, that's petty cash. Kunyari, meron kang safe house. Hindi naman mo babayaran na yan lahat all at the same time. Plus, may isang safe house na, let's say, 10,000. May isang safe house na 20,000. So, every so often, plus yung pagkain, so much, baka mag-withdraw ka lang today, 1 million. After a few days, 3 million or something like that. Depende sa gastos. Hindi yung 120. Parang may pinaglalaanan na talagang, parang may mortgage, no? Every month may ganon or every quarter may babayaran ka na ganon. Hindi natin, naka-budget na, di ba? Pero kung talagang totoo yan, di ba? It's on a daily and kasi confidential, di ba? Parang, pang-gasolina, pangkain, pang-intelligence workout, pambayad. So, hindi yan eksakto na 125 or eksakto na 37.5. So, yun din ang mga question na kailangan nating tanungin. As I said, tingnan natin kung saan ba talaga ginastos, ano ba ang resibo sa paggastos na yan.
Well, speaking of questions na kailangan nating sagutin, Atty. This impeachment trial, the line between an impeachment trial and a criminal trial often gets blurred, di ba? Kahit ng mga previous hearings. So ano po ba yung tanong na dapat talaga natin sagutin, especially for this one on the misuse of confidential funds? Ano ba yung impeachable offense na kailangan patunayan ng prosecution?
Well, dito, ang kanilang inaano dito, yung loss of public
Betrayal,
public trust, yung tawag dito, I think yung also culpable violation of the Constitution. So, ang tanong dyan is, kung meron pa tayong tiwala, kasi yung loss of trust and confidence, no? Kung meron pa tayong tiwala sa paggasto, kaya nga tinitingnan, kaya nga ang tanong dyan is not more of ano ba yung criminal effect, no? Kasi this is not a criminal case. Pero ang tanong is, yung bang paggastos mo is justified? Yung bang paggastos mo is within our bounds, within our means? Kaya nga sabi ko, tanong mo kung extravagant ba yan or yung purpose is really for that purpose. So yun ang kailangan natin tanongin. And then, yun din ang tatanungin natin, no? Sabi ko, kaya tignan din natin kasi may mga disallowances sa Office of the Vice President, sa Office of the DepEd Secretary nung siya ay nandyan. So ang question dyan, kung may disallowance, pagkakatiwalaan pa ba natin siya for that amount of money? And siguro, kung hindi natin pagkakatiwalaan, di maybe there's yung public trust and confidence natin na wala. And then, of course, syempre kung may malversation dyan, di merong culpable violation of the Constitution. Because of course, isa dyan sa ating sinumpaan sa Vice President is sumunod sa ating Constitution, sa ating mga batas, sa ating kasama na dyan yung graft laws natin. So kung meron man silang makitang, unlike yung unang week na eksakto, grave threats na eksakto merong predicate crime. Dito maraming pwedeng pasukin pero hindi naman tinutumbok ito on any predicate crime except that of course there is the misuse of funds which is technically malversation.
Well, Attorney, when it comes to the impeachment court, there are many things happening on the sidelines.
may mga defense judges, lawyers.
So we've also heard manifestations during the impeachment trial that have absolutely nothing to do with the impeachment proceedings itself,
Precisely.
plus the word wars between certain senator judges. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to end up focusing on, uy, nag-aaway itong dalawang to, instead of processing the information that is laid out during the impeachment proceedings. What do the public need to remember and what do the public need to focus on?
Well, una-una, sabihin ko na rin, yung pag-handle ni Cheese, I think naman medyo so far, okay naman. Although, tama ka dyan, Cheska, na merong mga time na yung away ng mga senador o yung mga issues nila, hindi na dapat yan talaga bringing up in the impeachment court. So sa akin lang, let us put aside yung mga side issues na yan. Let us put aside yung technicalities kasi we should be after the truth after accountability, after transparency. Kaya ang tanong natin dito, for example, itong article na ito, confidential funds, no? Ano ba ang nature ng confidential funds? Yun yung sasagutin ngayon ng COA. Saan ginastos? Kay nino ginastos? Tama ba ang paggastos? Ano ang purpose ng paggastos? So, yun po yung mga kailangan tignan natin. Hayaan na natin yung mga issues ni mga Cayetano, Lacson, ni Robin Padilla. I mean, ano yan that's all theatrics if you ask me. But kung talagang titignan natin, sana himayin natin, sabi ko nga, yung ebidensya. And ito, ang ebidensya dito is, where did the money go? From the money that was already established last week, ang tanong in the next few weeks is, where did the money go? And did the expenses, is it justified?
Well, of course, the impeachment court is quiet on the conducts or behaviors of the senator judges, most specifically Senator Pia Cayetano. We are talking about the spliced video here that is somehow there's a perception it's against the prosecution. So should the impeachment court at least reprimand her or at least call out na mali yung ginawa mo and remind every senator judges na we have to be impartial in the eyes of the public.
Yeah, agree. They should put her on her place, kumbaga ilagay sa pwesto niya. And then, tama, I think to remind her should be okay. Pero yung remind naman did not be in public. Because they call naman a caucus. It can be reminded within closed door, within their caucus, para naman just to put the, kumbaga, respect to the judges. And tama ka rin na pwedeng sabihin na, alam naman natin may kulay yung ibang senador dyan, di ba? So, pero wag naman obvious, di ba? Kasi alam naman natin kung sino yung, kumbaga, meron dyang tingin natin na alliances, pero meron dyan mga tipong soft, meron dyan hard alliances, may medium, so tingnan natin. Pero meron, yung obvious na talaga dyan, I mean, everybody knows it, the two Cayetanos and Robin Padilla will never, sa akin whatever evidence you show, I doubt if they will go where the evidence goes because they are already, sa tingin ko lang, in my opinion, politically, kumbaga, committed,
already made their decision.
politically committed to one position or the other.
Per attorney, last week, another big development was the impeachment court granting the subpoena of the financial documents of Vice President Sara Duterte for the article on unexplained wealth. So these documents are already at the Senate, pero sabi ng defense po, politically motivated. Kasi, President Marcos had to sign this waiver, di ba, allowing the BIR to submit these records. What do you think? And, attorney, yung pagdating sa admissibility, kasi hindi pa nag-rule dyan yung court, subpoena lamang Do you think these evidence could be admitted in court?
Well, ganito yan, no? When you submit evidence in court, una muna yung subpoena, no? To bring it to the court. So, number one. Number two, you identify it first. And then, pag pina-authenticate mo sa witness, that is the next, and then formal offer at the end. So, ganun po yung proseso. Now, ang tanong dyan, is it politically motivated? Ang tanong ko naman dyan, yung ebidensya nandyan, wala hong halong politika yan. Plus, kung titignan natin, nangyari na po yan nung panahon ni Corona. Di ba? Nung hiningi yan ni Kim Henares, dating BIR, at pinayagan niya ni Pinoy, wala naman sinabing politically motivated. Bakit ngayon politically motivated? It is the same process. We went through the same process. Plus, bakit nung time na yon out for accountability and transparency si Cayetano? Ngayon sasabihin niya against the law. So, is he hypocrite? Is he contradicting himself? Let the people judge it na lang. No? I mean, nasa sa kanila na yan. So, ang akin lang, walang halong politika. Sabi nga nila, ito sinabi rin ni Duterte nung time niya, kung wala kang kasalanan, anong kinakatakot mo? Kung wala kang tinatago, bakit ayaw mong ilabas? Diba? So, sa akin, it goes back to them. They said all of these things. Plus, the documents does not lie. Yun ang mabigat dito. The BIR, the AMLA, the bank records, the documents there, the numbers will not lie. So, wag nating sabihin na yung 6.7 billion is a lie. Because, as you said, there is presumption of regularity. If the AMLA already said it is what was reported to them, so yun ang paninindigan natin. Ngayon, ang tanong, saan galing yan? Saan napunta? O baka may natira? O baka meron pa? Sana all. Sama na tayo.
Well, another topic that was only brought up in the beginning of the impeachment proceedings was the threshold. Presiding Officer Chase established that it would be 16. But the prosecution has already finished presenting their witnesses for Article 4. We're already going through Article 1. Why do you think we haven't heard anyone filing for a petition or manifestation regarding the threshold?
Well, kasi to me, yung sinabi ni Senator Chase is not yet a resolution of the court. To me, it appears to be his opinion on the matter because hindi naman nila pinagbotohan yan. No? Although it's on the record. So tingin ko it's not up for the Supreme Court yet. It's not yet a justifiable judicial issue for them to decide. No? Plus, paano yan, Cheska, kung bumoto ng, let's say, 17? Would it even matter? paano kung bumoto yan ng 10? Would it even matter? Di ba? So, siguro magmamatter lang yan kung 14 o 15 ang boto. Kasi doon mo titignan yung count kung sino ba talaga ang kasama or not. Or depende kung meron pang 5 makulong sa kanila, baka bumaba pa yan, di ba? So, pero sa akin, it would only count once there is a vote Kasi doon mo titignan, what does the conviction mean? Kunyari, if it is 17, so there's no issue. Pero what if it was 14, for example? Then maybe the prosecution will say, oy, dapat convicted. Kasi less
21.
less the one suspended and less Bato, etc. and whoever, no? So then that can be a question. Even us as individuals, being taxpayers, I think we can bring that up to the court. Now, there is a question now. Kasi kine-question nila Jinggoy at saka ni Marcoleta yung kanilang if they can participate or not. So maybe if that goes to the Supreme Court, maybe that can clarify what does their suspension mean. So if that is not a question of whether 14 or 16, that is a question is what is the meaning of suspension. So if that can be decided na saying suspended ka, you are not to participate, wala lahat yan, etc., etc., baka hindi sila kasama doon sa 16. Pero kung sinabing suspended ka pero the following are still your rights and privileges and obligations, baka kasama ka sa 16. So I think kung yan pumasok sa Supreme Court, that is something na pwede natin bantayan kasi for now nasa sandigan bayan yung issue na yan. So pwede natin iakyat yan at tignan kung sinong hindi satisfied sa decision na yon later on. So we can clarify that, or kahit tayo as individuals, once it's in the Supreme Court, we can file an intervention if need be.
Well, very quick na lang before we throw it over to the impeachment today, you're a very known litigator in the law industry. No? How did the prosecution fare on the article of impeachment 1?
Well, impeachment 1, if you ask me for the elements of grave threats and inciting to sedition, maganda yung pagkalatag nila. They have shown the elements to be present. Plus, ang nakakatawa dito, the utterance was even admitted by the defense. So there is nothing for them to prove kasi even the defense already proved their case for them. Ang question lang dyan is it culpable violation? Kasi kung grave threats, tingin ko, criminally, it's there. It should be a conviction for grave threats. But is it impeachable? Yan ang tanong. Di ba? Is it culpable violation? Is it betrayal of public trust? So does it amount to that? Does all crime amount to betrayal of public trust? That is, I think, what they should answer. That is what they should hurdle as the prosecution panel. Sa akin, yeah, kasi nga, klarong-klaro naman, kahit naman ako ngayon, if I threat all three of you, medyo, di ba, nakakatakot yan. Tapos now we are threatening the president, medyo talagang malabo yun. Plus, she has the advantage because siya yung mag-gain kasi siya ang vice president di ba? So, kitang-kita naman, if I were a betting man, I would bet on the presentation of the prosecution.
Alright, well, on that note, marami pa tayong aabangan sa impeachment trial. So for now, thank you very much, Attorney Raul, for sharing your insights with us. Again, that was litigation lawyer and law professor, Attorney Howard Calleja.